morning. I've got all these buckets of spent compost here. I had all my squash and, well, actually the squash is still in the buckets, but it's mainly my courgettes I had in these buckets, and they're finished now. And I'm just going to tip them into a big bag and take them up the allotment, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do with them up there. I think I've got a few more to sort out before I do that though. We've got one last courgette on this one here. I might have been able to let it grow a little bit bigger, but not much, I don't think. This one was a squash. It was, I think it was a little gem. But the foliage, as you see, has all had it now. Here's the one. Got one good sized one off yesterday. That's just a little one. It'll be alright. There's that little thing. It's a bit soft. I think I'll just put that in the compost. And there's one little courgette there. Oh. Tiny little hole. I was just going to take the buckets up in the car, but I don't think I'll be, my car's tiny, so I don't think I'll be able to fit very many in. But actually this compost is a bit damper than I expected. Worried about how heavy it's getting because I haven't got Kenny here today to lift things. Get those crocks out. This is the bucket that we bring the hen manure up in, and sometimes it gets stuck to the bottom, and sometimes we've got quite a lot of it if we gather it over a few days. And I've just got a bag of sawdust here that my dad gets from the woodyard that he volunteers in, so I just mix that in with it. It helps to balance up between all the nitrogen in the hen poop and carbon in the wood shavings. So that'll go on my compost now. So this is my big bag of spent compost that I brought up. I mean, there's lots of it, you know. I bought a lot of compost in the spring when the coronavirus kicked off. I think, like lots of people, I thought, oh, I better grow as much food as I can. So as well as the allotment, I tried to grow as much as I possibly could in the back garden at home. And I didn't have any room in my borders, so I got loads and loads of buckets. I paid £1 a bucket from Wicks and just drilled holes in the bottom and filled them with compost and grew stuff like that. Hasn't been brilliantly successful, I have to admit. I think I bought poor compost and that's what's done it. However, now I'm left with loads and loads of spent compost, which I don't want to waste. It's useful in the allotment still, even though we know it's got no nutrition left in it. I can still use it to just bolster up me raised beds a little bit. A lot of them are starting to sink quite a lot now. The original ones that were put in 2 years ago at the front of the allotment were done on, is it the Google? No, I've forgotten the name of it. That one where they put the wood on the bottom and it rots away and you put the soil on the top. Google culture or something? I don't know. That's right. That sounds like something off the internet, the Google culture system. Anyway, so I need to top up my beds. So I am going to be feeding them as well. I've got a lovely big comfrey plant. I've already chopped that down once this year. I'll be chopping that down again. I'm toying with, I know you can just chop and drop comfrey and just leave it where you chop it and it'll feed the soil like that. Or it can go in the compost. I don't know. I'm toying with putting a layer of comfrey leaves down on my border and then putting the spent compost on top and then maybe putting some of my proper compost that I'm making at the minute. And that will be quite nice and it'll raise up the level a little bit. Anyway, I only managed to bring up 4 bucket loads in this. It was too heavy for me to carry. Kenny's away, as I say, and he's got the van. No, yeah, he's got the van with him. So all I've got is my little buggy to ride about in, and it's teeny, and I wouldn't only been able to fit 4 buckets in anyway. So I'll just have to ferry it back and forth. And so I've probably in total got about, I don't know, 16 buckets of this spent compost to use. So it's going to be quite handy, but not at the minute because everything is still in full bloom here. It's looking so lovely. It's just the most beautiful September day. I love this time of year. All my borders are just full of stuff, and I'm waiting for some bits of crops at the minute. We'll see second load of beans coming, and got some Swedes there which are coming along quite nicely. I've started to pull quite a few parsnips and carrots. I've eventually managed to get carrots. It's taken a long time and a lot of fields, but I am getting a few carrots now. This one's my beautiful comfrey plant. Talk about vigorous. I know they say they get invasive, and I can see that this really could get invasive. I've already cut it right down to the ground once this year and it's all come up again. But I really like it. We can feed it to the hens. If it gets too much, I just chop it off and put it in the compost. And I know you can make comfrey tea. I had some of that last year off one of my allotment neighbours and it worked a treat. I haven't made any with this. I couldn't quite face the stink of it. It really, really reeks. So yeah, that's the comfrey. This is my second crop of beans that I was talking about. I've got runner beans here and French beans, Blauhilde here. They're coming on really well actually. I think I put these in probably at the beginning of July. And the runner beans are, yeah, I've got, there's definitely little, I don't know whether you can see them from that distance away, little beans coming on there. And the French beans, well, there's plenty of flowers. Oh, there's a couple of tiny little beans down here. So I'm definitely going to get a second crop off these. So I'm really pleased about that. So I've tried a little experiment. I have heard, I think it was Charles Dowding said that if you plant some spinach late in the year, kind of nowish, it will sprout up. And if you don't get a hard winter, you can have really early spinach from that. So I've done a little experiment and planted that, and I've also planted, which I did last year kind of by mistake and out of ignorance, I planted some spring onions really late, thinking I would get them that same year, and I didn't, and they survived all winter, and I had a really early crop of spring onions, which was nice. So I'll show you, I have planted these little spinach here, and they are coming up fine. Not many of them have come up mine, there's a few more coming up here, some of them are weeds. And then at this side I've put spring onions in. I did see them somewhere. Is that them coming up? Yeah, there's a teeny few coming up. I'm not sure if you can see on camera there. So I'm hoping if we don't get a cold winter, that'll work. I'm quite excited about my little apples on my little apple tree here. Really got quite a few on. It's just a tiny little Cox's orange pippin, like a dwarf variety. And there you go. Looking forward to tasting them. I think you've just got to twist them, and if they drop off, they're ready. I'm not going to twist too hard because I don't want to take it if it's not ready. I'll leave them for a bit longer. So a couple of videos ago I was telling you about our runner beans, how we don't pick them when the pods are small and eat them like that. We let them mature to their full maturity, and then we'll actually eat the beans inside. So I'll just show you behind, we've got ours still hanging here and they're starting to dry out. So I'll show you what that looks like. There you go. There's just a bean, huge. It'll be terribly tough if you eat it like that. Nobody would thank you for it, I don't think. There's one that's starting to see all the speckles on it, and it's starting to yellow off, and the end here is quite soft. And then behind here, that one's just brown. You can even hear the seeds rattling around in it, and that's ready to be picked now. Like this one here. See, there's one that's almost there, it's starting to go. I mean, the truth is I could pick that. It's not going to make any difference really. Like that one there. I might come and pick a few actually. Oh, they're really hard to pull off. Oops. So they are going to go on the sideboard when we get home and dry out with all the rest, and then go in a jar, and they'll last all winter and go in soups and stews. And even last year, look at them, they're just so beautiful. They just look like kind of plasticky things. There you go, look at that, what a thing of beauty. I don't know where to go on about beans. I must be a bit of a nutcase or a bit of a bore or something, but honestly, that gives me so much joy. And they give joy twice, because then I'll eat them and then they'll give us even more joy. This is my fennel, which I love, it's so pretty, but unfortunately seems to be all bolting. You have a look here. This seems, you know, it's trying to flower and I've been pulling them off, but it seems quite determined to go, and I don't seem to be getting much in the way of a bulb on the bottom. And now I did have this problem yesterday last year to an extent, but it seems worse this year. I wonder whether that's because it's been so warm. I'm not really sure. Anyway, we'll see how they go. I can eat the leaves and salads, but it was really the bulbs I was after. However, I really love the way they look, so it's not a disaster, is it? Alright folks, that's going to be it for today's video. Not a lot really going on at the allotment. Lots of stuff here, but nothing really to do. Nothing really to harvest much at the minute. So it's just pretty and nice. It's a nice time of year. So I'm going to leave it at that for this time. If you enjoy watching these videos, please consider subscribing. Give us a thumbs up, and you can leave a comment. I would particularly like it if anybody had a nice tomato sauce recipe to go with the baked beans. See you next time. Bye folks.